for instance, with our intern program that we have a strong need for bilingual candidates. And this intern program is not just for the summer, it goes during the school year. So we actually focus on local universities. We go to Cal State LA, we go to Cal State Dominguez Hills, we go to Long Beach, Fullerton, and all of the local universities, because the students need to be able to work during the school year. So we can't go to, schools outside of the immediate area. So I think for us, it really depends on what we're looking for in terms of talent and what the requirements are for the specific program that we're recruiting for. So.
My point is basically a follow-up to some of the points that are being made toward the latter part of the conversation, which is what we're realizing as corporations is that we just don't have the talent pool that we wish we had, and even when we narrow it down, it just comes down to such a small percentage that we're just not going to meet the numbers that we require. So now we're starting to realize that we need to get more proactive in planting the seeds and growing the seeds so that we can harvest them once they graduate from college. And you're going to see that more and more we need to do that, especially as state budgets break down, school systems break down. So many things are breaking down so badly that now the corporations and the organizations that have the resources have to step in and help grow that talent. And you don't necessarily have to go in and sort of all of a sudden, you were talking about being the plumber. Well, you're not in the business of plumbing, so now you have to start programs and start teaching kids? Not necessarily. You need to seek out those organizations like Junior Achievement, Inroads, and so many others out there that are doing it and doing it very well, and seriously go in and support them. Beyond PR and, oh yeah, we met our quota for social responsibility, we got a few PR articles out of it, we're done. Because it's going to come back and bite us. It's going to come back and bite us really hard. We're not going to have the talent, we're not going to have, it's a vicious circle. And I've also been sort of on the side of, as an instructor at a Cal State University, I can tell you that a lot of the students graduating from there are not necessarily prepared, and it's not so much because they don't want to be, it's because no one cares. I taught, senior students getting ready to graduate, they couldn't write a paper. And I'm like, how did you get to be a senior and not write a paper? They're like, well, no one read them before, no one cares. It's broken down at so many levels that we need to, as corporations and the folks who require this talent, need to step in and demand more accountability. And it just sounds like, geez, now I have to do things that, why is it my job? Well, I wish it wasn't, but at the end of the day, we're not going to get the talent we need. And so what it's coming back to is, you know what, if we're not involved in our society, eventually we're all going to pay the price. And I think we're seeing that more and more.
I would offer that some of the top tier schools that we're referring to, the war, it makes it a little bit more challenging as we talk about the war for talent, because now they are holding corporations accountable in a very different way. There may have been a time where corporations could go to those top schools and say, well, who are your top students, and I want to be exposed to them. It's not so easy anymore. They want to be able to say, well, have you spent time on our campus? Have you had a real presence developing our students before we just hand over to you who our top talent is? When we talk about our multicultural, when we talk about who those students are on those respective campuses, all companies are after them. So if you're looking for Latina talent at some of these top schools, all companies are there trying to get to them. And so companies, we really have to step back and understand our approach has to be more strategic of getting after the talent. It goes back to what you're saying. We have to develop these individuals. We have to show that we do care as corporations in order to really appeal to these universities and colleges as to why they should expose their talent to us. Else the talent may not come to us if we're not showing that we care as a corporation. And I think that's what I'm hearing us say here in the audience.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I think depending on the community we're talking about, there's certain communities that tend to be kind of funneled into certain industries because that's what the family's always done, or people in the community's always done. So I'll use the Asian community as an example. I mean, there are way too many doctors, lawyers, and engineers, because that's the mantra. That's the Asian trifecta that I call, that parents are always telling their kids, you must be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And so you got a lot of that, but they don't consider other and so I hear from companies who say, we're trying to recruit Asian talent, but nobody, the kids don't want to come. That's because they don't know anybody in that industry, they don't know what the industry is about, they don't know what the opportunities are about. So I figure that it's going to be the same in the African American and the Latino communities because their families know only this, and so they say, well, just be a teacher, or go work retail, or go, into food service in terms of being in sales, or going into banking or certain things. So you're going to see a predominance possibly of certain, communities of color in certain places. Well, I think partly because of that. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but that's a consideration. And so there's an education piece too to expose these kids, because I look at, the Obama kids, right, the girls, right? Are they really technically diverse versus, say, two little girls who grow up in, say, a working class to a more lower middle class kind of family? Are you really saying that these two girls, because they're black, are going to be that much more diverse in their perspectives versus, say, a similarly situated, white child or family because they've kind of grown up amongst the same social circle? And I think that gets to the point you were bringing up around economic diversity.
They'll be more like Chelsea.
Yeah, they'll be more like Chelsea, right? They're going to go to Stanford, they're going to go to Yale, they're going to go to Harvard, and they're not really going to know.
Who are middle class.
Yeah. So if you're coming from a family of immigrants where they only know very more simple work, like my mom, didn't really quite understand. I mean, my parents can't even understand what I do because they don't know how to describe it to their friends, And I'm sure that happens with a lot of immigrant parents. They, to them they just say, why don't you be a teacher or an accountant or something? It's easy to explain.
I'm going to take your comment, and I'm going to come back and address one more thing, and we're going to take more questions from the
I
audience.
just want to make a comment. My name is Blanca Cortez, and I work for Union Bank. And I came from Cal State Long Beach. And within Long Beach, there's certain companies that interact and engage with the individuals there on the campus, especially the business programs. And there's this corporate training program with Target, big companies will come and mentor juniors and sophomores before they graduate, and then teach them the fundamentals. So once they graduate, they have a connection and they have a position available. So I don't see too much engagement with these major corporations, but they are missing out on these opportunities
I think I'm going to
at their
start.
fingertips. So there's even groups within those colleges, and I'm sure Cal State LA has certain business groups as well.
Yeah, I did a blog recently on the value of education, and a lot of times college students see it as, a key that opens up the door to opportunities, right? And you're absolutely right. I think that you really hit a key point, because a lot of these corporations are still going toward the business schools, and don't go to the liberal arts schools and the history majors or philosophy majors that are developing these critical thinking skills and these communication skills, the independent thinking skills. Thinking out of the box. Talk about a philosophy major, just thinking all kinds of different things. And that's what companies these days are just actively pursuing, just looking for people that are able to communicate, think critically, and innovate new things and new ways of thinking, right? So I think I appreciate your point, because I think that you're right on, that companies are, they get on campus to recruit for diversity, but
the individual, but they're not being a resource. So they
Right.
could actually fill on and mentor that individual. So
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to go through that program, and it's really made me a successful individual. If I
Yeah.
went through that program, I don't know where I would be today. And it was just a corporate individual taking their time to go mentor me for 2 years.
But the part of the problem is, though, the system already is there. I mean, the universities are ranked. The universities are top 10 schools. And then when you're in a competitive environment, these are assets that a company's trying to hire. What has to happen is the return on investment has to occur. Companies got to take that chance on, let's bring in someone from a non-core school. And maybe we get them, and now all of a sudden they're the ones that are innovating and bringing in different things. The problem